make it work. If you got to cut me off
Eh,
and
we're good. We're going right now. We're gonna
do
try it
whatever.
again. We're here with Ian, the commissioner of the greatest dynasty in NCAA. How is Ian doing today?
Uh, Good, dude. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. We wanted to bring in a commissioner, you, Nick, hopefully we get Nick on tomorrow. We kind of just want to talk about, all the drama that's been going on in the league. I mean, I think people care about that more than the actual games, sometimes. So, it looks like this is something that, it's kind of been coming for a while. You guys kind of go at it. You guys were going at it pretty much from the start. It started out fun and playful, nothing too dangerous, it seemed like. And then last night, he went at you pretty hard, and I thought, you had every right to do what you did. So, just tell us what you were going through, and tell us what led to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, when the dynasty like originally started, I for like from the get go, I thought like, we were cool. I was cool with Aaron the whole time, and like I knew he was like putting on a persona and stuff for the dynasty, and it was funny. Like we were messaging all the time. Everything was cool, and then like when shit went south was the schedule fiasco. Like he just caused like such a big stink. It was so unnecessary in the off season, and he just it was just chaos. And then like everybody else was jumping in, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, it's a video game.
Right.
I get it. We're all invested in it and everything, but it's a video game. You have some tough games. Like I know, and even it comes to the point where even if you are kidding, it gets old regardless.
Right.
Like I know what he's doing, and like it there comes a point though. It's just like okay, it's just annoying at this point, and no, but like it's just a bunch of like, unnecessary bullshit
Right.
that none of the commissioners want to deal with anymore. And we had been having these discussions since the off season, like when we were considering just axing him then, and then for him to just continue to antagonize, and it just kept going. And then he wants to come at the commissioners like all the time. It's like, what are you doing? Like, we're
Yeah.
the guys trying to keep this thing running. And we've been super cool, I think, to like, as far as anybody taught, like any of the banter and all that stuff. Like, it's mostly jokes and shit.
Oh,
Like I
right.
said, it's just, there comes a point where it's just like, okay, enough's enough. And when he had, last night he came at me a little bit, and I had a couple margaritas in me, and I was just like, okay, that's the end of the line. It is what it is,
Right.
and he can say whatever. I have an ego or something, which is totally ironic, but regardless, it's done and over with, and he's no longer a part of the
Right.
group.
No, I mean, I thought you did things right. I mean, I thought you and Nick especially took a lot of abuse. I mean, I know there was that little mistake that happened, but like, at some point, like you just got to move on. I mean, like
Oh, absolutely.
if you're gonna let a video game like take over your life, like, come on, man. Like, we're just here to have fun, and that's all we really want to do.
Right.
Um,
And
so
like the card he can play is like, oh, it's just like I'm messing around, I'm fooling around, it's shenanigans, it's blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, but we're also trying to run a dynasty here, and
right.
you're just making it difficult. So why would we put up with that anymore? You
Nope.
know?
Yeah, I don't blame you. He actually reached out to me and just wanted to see like, how I thought about it. And, I agreed with you. The only thing I said is like I wouldn't have kicked him, but like honestly, like I would haven't gone through what you guys have gone through. And if I did, I might be totally different about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
And
I
how
don't I
like
don't have any problems with what you guys did, and I don't think anyone in here will will miss him that much.
right. I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't take anything too lightly when it comes to that shit. Like
Right.
even like when we banned that Kolobov kid, like we went asked the group and everything what they thought, and like we went through a little bit of a process there, and everybody like at the beginning of the dynasty when he ran a glitch play or whatever, and like
Right.
we try to. It's not like we roll with an iron fist. Like we're always trying to get input and stuff. So
Correct.
I don't know. And like, did we mess up? Yeah. Like I fucked up bad, especially Ricky's.
Poor
Like I
Ricky.
felt terrible about that.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
but Ricky took it, he obviously gave it to you a little bit, but he was just doing it for fun, and, Ricky doesn't care,
Oh,
he's gonna go out and
yeah.
win any game that is in front of him anyways this season, I think anyways, so, you know, it
Oh
it
yeah, dude. He's definitely turning the corner with the Cornhuskers. They look
definitely.
good.
Now that, we'll get into the whole Penn State fiasco as well, eventually later, but, now that McMahon's out, you got Iowa, Oregon, and Ricky. I mean,
Yeah.
that's who I
Yep.
see in the big 3 there in the Big Ten. So I think Ricky's
That's the
playoff chances Nebraska's gonna get their first chance of the playoffs, this season. So, I'm happy for Ricky,
so
he's
I'd
worked
love
hard.
I mean, I don't know if you could pull it up, but I would like to see his schedule what he has left,
Sure.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Because I'm really pulling for him to get in the playoff considering I fucked up, the beginning of the season.
So Ricky has a pretty lenient schedule here to finish out. He's got Oregon and well, not lenient, but he's got Oregon, Iowa, and that's it for big games. So he's got to win them both here to or at least one.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
think yeah, if he could win, yeah, like you said, if he wins one of those, he's gonna have a good chance to get in the playoff. I think.
yep. And the a team to watch honestly is USC. You know
Yeah, he's
they
improving big time.
he's improving, and let's see if I can get to him. So many teams. His schedule, the way out, he's got Washington and Notre Dame. I mean, he's gonna win out. I think
Yeah,
he has a good
yeah,
chance of winning out, and if he beats Washington, I think he's a shoe-in for the Big Ten championship.
yeah. He's got two losses. He does have to win out. He does have to win out to
Yes.
get in, pretty much, right?
I mean, he's got the one conference
So,
loss, but
right,
he-
right. So, yeah, I guess he could. Could he get into the Big Ten title? I guess it depends. Could he get into the Big Ten title if is he in the Big Ten title if he wins out? Is what I'm asking.
y-
I
um,
wonder what the standings are.
yeah, we'll have to look. Let's go we'll look at Oregon's here.
Okay. Like,
So,
has you? I missed it. Did USC play Iowa or Penn
um,
State yet?
no, they don't.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
Yes.
Nebraska, Ricky actually beat USC, and that's USC's only
Okay.
loss in the conference.
Gotcha. So
S
there's a few scenarios how the
Yeah,
Big Ten could work
there's
out. So
many different ways it could go. And another one
yeah,
is now the Big 12 is up for grabs, especially, now you got Utah playing lights out against, former Coach Prime. Um,
yeah. How about that one? And I feel like that I it may have in some way took away from that win, but it shouldn't. That was such a good win just because he's not here anymore. Like Aaron's a great player. That win was awesome. And like now that it's a computer, I feel like it kind of takes away from it, but it shouldn't. That was such an awesome win.
yeah, I
That was
mean,
like that was probably the upset of the
of the
entire
year so
dynasty
far.
so far.
Yeah. I mean, he got
Yeah,
thumped twice by Zona and Kansas, and then coming back with a big win against probably the number one player in the, one or two number, player in the whole dynasty. Great for you, right?
right.
Good for Tyler, man. Good win. And he
That
was
was
allowed to
awesome.
talk crap, and I don't know why he didn't. I would have been all over him. But
He put a couple memes, but I think he could have went harder
right.
considering who it was.
But yeah, good for Utah, man. He's got a pretty good schedule the way out. Brandon or West Virginia, we also work with him. He's improving offensively. He's got to quit throwing the pick sixes. But he's coming along. He's figuring out his team. So West Virginia
Yeah,
next year
that's a
could be good.
process. When you have your team for the first year, it's a process of figuring out, what you like to do with them and
Right.
how things are going to work. Definitely.
Well, so let's jump back a little bit here. How much did you know about the whole Oklahoma Texas situation from a few weeks ago?
Um. So I got messages from both guys. I do think a lot of it is miscommunication. I
Right.
know everybody wants to hear the drama part of it, but like
Right.
when you're messaging just back and forth and not actually talking to someone on the phone, a lot of things get left out. People think they mean one thing, the other person thinks they mean something else. And so like the funny thing is that whole thing blew up and we hadn't even made a decision yet on what was going to happen in the game, and everything just went crazy. Like we were probably going to do the sim regardless to
Right.
like whatever happened, because both of them, had like points where they could play, and both, it didn't match up. So we were probably going to do the sim anyhow. And before we could even announce that, shit just went haywire. So we kind of lost control of that situation.
Yeah, I kind of lost control of it too. I mean, I couldn't really follow what was going on. I mean, so people were coming at each other hard. Like people come at each
Yeah,
other
yeah,
hard sometimes, and like, we got to quit doing that. Like so
yeah. The
much.
name calling stuff, and I get it. It can be frustrating, and like people invest their time and everything into this, and it can be frustrating. But you do have to remember, like, we can't just be going off on each other.
Right.
Fuck you and fuck him
Other
and
people,
fuck this. Like,
people have schedules too. Like, sometimes things change. Like Ricky was supposed to be here for this podcast. Now all of a sudden his daughter woke up and he's not here at the
yeah.
moment. But he
Oh,
should be in.
well, I understand that. I get that completely.
Right. But like that's what I'm saying
Yep.
though, is like stuff like simple as that can happen where like, oh, now I can't, like so just bear with it
Yeah.
sometimes and just keep trying to find a time. Like you can, you will. And
Yeah. And I
ultimately if you
kind of,
can't, then we'll sim. But generally all the games usually get played. So
right. And I kind of touched on like that in a post I made earlier today. Like, this should be like a kind of like a league reset. Like, everyone get your shit together, and
right.
like, we don't need to be going at each other's throats. It's a video game. It's super fun what we're doing, but at the end of the day, it's a video game, and everybody needs to pump the brakes a little bit.
Right. So let's just stay on the same train here. We got another
Okay.
situation with the Penn State Nittany Lions. So
Uh huh.
as we know, I work with McMahon and Ricky, we all work together. McMahon's the reason why Ricky and I are even in this dynasty. He
Yeah.
got us into it and all that. And then Purdue comes in, or he goes to Purdue and retires them. Now McMahon says he was already losing. He's 41 years old. He said he's 7 months in a dynasty is good enough for a 41-year-old. I think that's a bunch of crap. I think he left because he was ashamed that he lost to Purdue.
I don't know the real reason. I don't know if anyone ever will. Um, like I was telling you a little bit earlier, I don't know. He hasn't officially retired on the
Right,
game.
right,
So as long as he is not retired on the game, I'm gonna push I'm gonna push him. I'm gonna try to nudge him and say,
right.
keep playing. But I also see this. I see this. It does take up some time, but it's
Definitely.
not much during the week. It's
No.
it's not a ton. It's a couple hours maybe, probably during the week. If between recruiting and playing your
Well,
games and everything.
ultimately, like recruiting now, it should only take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I mean,
true.
because you're not really recruiting any, like, you know what I mean? Like, you might just be switching up some points.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but other than that, like, you're not
Right.
really going
And
out and recruiting and like looking through all these guys. So, you know,
right.
McMahon
Yeah.
says he's
That's a
got
good
a
point.
he's coaching practice twice a week. I just hear excuses. But ultimately, it sucks not having him, and I liked always talking to him at work about everything going on. But now it's just funny. He always texts me like, "Oh, what's happening? What's going on?" So he definitely misses it. I think he does regret it just a little bit. So hopefully we can get him to join
Well,
back.
we'll get him back. And I mean, even if a worst case scenario, if he doesn't come back during this dynasty, he'll be back for when the game comes out next year and we run it back.
Right. So you know, we lost McMahon, and then it
He is
brings
a
me.
national, I'm sorry, he is a
Yeah.
national title winner. Like,
No.
I get it. I get it
Right.
too. What else? He doesn't have anything left to do now.
But let's
So
take a step
I
back
get
on that. He is an asterisk national title winner. He
that. According to who?
Josh King, former West Virginia.
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah,
know,
that's another one I fucked up, huh?
yeah, because technically, yeah, he should have been in the playoff,
Uh,
whatever, and then
yeah.
ultimately he didn't get in, and then the rage quit. It's
Well, here's
fun.
the thing. Those I'll say this: I definitely fucked up majorly twice, but I will say this too: I would appreciate like we. It would be great if everybody could just like finish their games and just get your game in. And
Right.
I know like it's at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to do the, um, the force wins and all that stuff. But it's like, why in the first year or two there was no like we had no issues. Almost every user game was completed, and there was no like we hardly had to do any force wins.
I think
Now it seems like this
yeah.
season, it's like every week we're having to do a force win because of lost connection or
Right.
whatever, griefing, whatever. Like I don't know, but it's just I take full
Well,
responsibility for it. But
I
I would
think
like for us to be able to just
yeah.
complete our games. That
Well,
makes things a lot easier.
I think a reason of that might be is everyone was just excited about the game coming out, and I think
Yeah,
maybe that excitement has kind of like teetered a little bit. Everyone still likes the game,
could
still
be.
likes playing it, but I feel like maybe instead of it being like, oh, I want to go home and play NCAA, I need to go home and do this. Now people, I'll do it later, I'll get on later, and maybe they'll go fall asleep and totally forget, and then this happens, so.
Yeah, it
I
does happen.
I feel like that could be
It
something
does.
going on, like, like that excitement of the new game coming out, so I feel like
Right.
that might be something to do with it. But ultimately, if you're in the league, play your game. I mean, that's how it should be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, it could be people, losing some interest. I feel
Right.
like we've done pretty good. Like you guys doing, like continuing the podcast and
Yeah.
everything.
This is something
It's
that
you.
Ricky and I like to do a lot. I mean, we talk about it. We like looking through the games, talking about the user matchups. Tomorrow I think we're gonna do another one with Nick. We're gonna do a pick 'em. We're gonna do a celebrity pick 'em with Nick, where he's gonna pick all the games. We'll do it like a
That's sweet. That'd be cool.
he doesn't know anything about it. We're gonna surprise him with it. Maybe if he
Oh,
listens to the
nice.
podcast tonight, he'll hear it. But we're gonna start keeping track, me and Ricky especially, of how we are doing with picking games this season. Ultimately, I picked against you against Notre Dame, and I went 0 for 1. But
Well,
hey, you did good,
it,
and you took down a
I,
pretty good opponent. So
yeah. So like, I absolutely despise playing my brother because
right,
we've literally grown up, playing each other playing this game for years, and it's just like we're in both like in each other's heads. It's like a stalemate almost every time, except for was it last season? He blew my doors in the
yeah.
playoffs. I completely melted down. He destroyed me. But it's normally just like a last second crazy game because
So
we know
I
what the
didn't
other
get a
person's gonna
chance,
do.
right. I didn't get a chance to watch it because you guys played a little late. But do you want to talk about stuff that happened in it, or is there anything,
Yeah,
that
I can talk about it a little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, so like I mean towards the end of the game, we both had our chances to win. I was down in the second half. I went down 11. The next drive I scored a touchdown, made it a 3 point game. I got the 2 point conversion. Came down later. He held me to he threw a pick. He held me to a field goal. It was 21-21. And then at the end of the game, we just both had chances to win it. And he was fumbling the ball, and I was just like not moving the ball. So it ended up going to
right.
overtime. I kicked
Well,
the field goal. He came out and he went for the dagger. Like it was
oh,
4th and 9. I took a timeout to actually set up in the field goal block because I was in a base defense. And he changed his mind and went for it. And he went for it all as 1-on-1. And my guy, I got him selected and made the pick. It was a
there you
good
go.
game. It's
Right.
all like I said, it was always a good game with
Well,
him.
just by looking at the box score, it looks like you guys could not move an inch on each other. I mean, 24 carries, 36
No,
yards, and 21 for 35. I mean, it looks like it was a defensive battle for sure.
he was talking about that. The yards per carry was,
I
I
mean,
think I had
1.5 and
1.6.
1.6. Yep, 1.7.
Yeah, it was a stalemate. It always is with him, but
And
yeah, it
then
was a tough win.
you won the turnover battle, so I mean that ultimately
Yeah,
came down to you winning the game. So no,
definitely.
congrats on the big win. You definitely needed that one.
Yeah, I did.
Because I don't,
Definitely.
yeah. So good there. Let's see. So let's talk about. I don't. You don't have to get too into it. I will because you're a commissioner and all that. one thing we wanted to talk
Or
about was fakers or contenders versus pretenders, contenders and pretenders. So like
okay,
right now, Ricky has me as a pretender. Um,
okay.
and I have Ricky as probably the number one or number two contender in the entire league at the moment. Is there anyone on your radar that maybe no one's really talking about as a team that can potentially, you know, come and take a natty this season? Um,
Yeah. So, I mean, just off the top of my head, like someone who doesn't really get talked about a lot, but is super consistent is DJ with Virginia Tech.
okay,
Like, I he's just consistent every year, man. He's in the top. Like, I think he's number one this year, right? Yeah.
he is, yeah,
So so he's just consistent. He puts up points and like he's a tough out. I feel like he could, even though he's number one in the country, like I feel like he doesn't get talked about a lot. So
right.
he's somebody that I would look towards to like maybe this is his year to make it happen.
The
In
only
all honesty.
the only thing about the reason why Ricky and I we don't always talk about it is we just think the ACC is maybe like the least competitive conference out of the
Yeah.
entire
Well,
dynasty. And we're not saying that to be mean. Like it
yeah.
just feels like all of like the big major matchups are always in the Big 10 or in the SEC or in the Big 12. It's like I just feel like the ACC is just that conference that always just gets left behind. And we're not trying to do that on purpose, you know. It's just we just feel
No.
like all the big games always happen in those conferences. But now that Virginia Tech is like proving that they are legit, you know, we're definitely going to be talking about Virginia Tech and even Miami. Like Bobby's a great player. I mean, he was hanging in there with them a little bit, and then he
He
started throwing
is. And
picks left and right towards the
Bobby's
end.
improved this year. He's definitely improved this year from last year. He had a big slump last year, but he's
Right.
definitely improved. And like you said, he was in that game against DJ for a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
And
seven
I
picks.
believe he had like a fourth quarter. Yep. Yeah. 7 picks will do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it just looks like the Hokies are just on a warpath right now, and it just you just get out of their way because they're just going to steamroll you. Um,
100%.
their
And
their
I'll tell you,
rec-
like,
their receivers are just amazing. I mean, Harbor and
yeah.
Aomanor is just awesome to have. I'm jealous.
Yeah, dude. That's a hell of a 1-2 combo. It's super tough to defend.
You,
But I would like
you
to say
streaming,
too,
Frank?
Oh yeah, Ricky, what's going on? Welcome to the
What's
pod.
happening?
We're
Yes,
currently
sorry.
sir.
talking. We're currently talking about Virginia Tech and Miami. So
Was
we
this a
don't
game that happened?
we don't give
Ah, yes,
Virginia
it was.
Tech enough love.
They're the number one team,
Well,
without a doubt.
right now, after everything that happened yesterday, there is no doubt Virginia Tech is the number one team in the dynasty at this moment.
They are the measuring stick.
Yep.
And just talking about the ACC a little bit, it's my conference, so I'd like to talk about it a
Yeah.
little
No.
bit and
Please,
get it
please
some
talk about it.
pub. But but no, I get it, dude. Things get lost. There's 30 some, well, there was 30 some
29.
users in this classic. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of everything. But anyhow, yeah, I don't know. I played NC State guy,
Right.
and he seemed like he's gonna be a super tough player.
Well, we talked
Um,
about him being a
Yeah,
contender.
I did hear that. I did hear that. You said probably next year or something, but
Right.
I don't know what the rest of his schedule looks like this year. But I'd like to speak on Nick, dude. He's
Yeah.
improved. Like I know his recruiting classes have been super great, which helps him.
It's unbelievable.
But his play, like his strategies, what keeps him in games and gives him the success that he does have. He's got a good mind on him. So
Yeah.
he's an up and coming kind of
Yeah.
guy. Year
Clemson.
1 and 2.
Clemson's
Go
tough.
ahead, man.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was only going to say Clemson's really hard because their stadium atmosphere when you play there is you can't even do anything
Right.
because
Yeah,
it's just going crazy. But so I think going to Death Valley is just always a challenge in itself, even without playing the game. Um, but
definitely.
but yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely.
Continue. This is your conference. I shouldn't be interrupting you.
No, no, no. It's hard too because like there's a little bit of a delay, so I don't know when you're talking, then I
Okay.
hop in and then. But yeah, no, just like I said, that's basically all I was saying. Like Nick's definitely improved. Like he's getting pretty good at the game. Like it feels like there's a bit more competition in the ACC now than
Yeah,
there was year one and two. Is basically what I was getting at.
yeah. What about you, Ricky? How do you feel about it?
I still feel like there's three top teams, and he's definitely in there, and then the rest
What about
until
Georgia
proven
Tech?
otherwise. Hey, that guy's a good sport.
I love Lee
Um,
Cagle.
he
Dude, Lee Cagle's
he,
such
he
a
he
good
better
guy.
he better have gotten the win.
He's getting that
He
win.
got it. Force win
Good,
away, so good for Lee and the Yellow
I
good.
gave
Jackets.
it to him. I didn't mess that one up. That one was very important to me.
Yep.
More important, actually.
So good,
Uh,
good for Lee
no,
there. So yeah, Ricky, we missed you
no,
there at
I
the
think.
start. So
Oh, well, what I missed then? Well, never mind. I'll listen to it.
yeah, you're good. We just talk about Prime, all that, McMahon leaving. We talked about Utah's big win being taken away by all this stuff going on. So we wanted to show light on Tyler's win. We're trying to get McMahon back into the league. Just we talked about Oklahoma, Texas a little bit. So just
A lot of fiascos.
a lot of fiascos. That's pretty much the title of the week, fiasco. Um, but
But you know what that means, though.
more content for
Now
us to put out.
this is more opportunity though for other teams to make a playoffs.
Well, that was another thing
Yes.
we talked about was we brought up USC having a legit chance to make the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, because there's a very good chance that Oregon, Iowa, and myself just devour one another. Essentially,
Yeah,
I still play Oregon. I
yeah
still play Iowa.
yeah we took a look at
Yep.
your schedule here before you got on. Um, yeah, you got
It's
you
not
got.
easy.
It's not easy, but we were saying you win one of these and you should have a good shot at the Big Ten title game. At least
And if
Iowa,
not, hopefully it's just
Oregon.
enough to get into the field.
Right. If you right.
That's all
That
I want.
yeah, that's
And
kind of what I
honestly,
was
that could
alluding
be
to.
better.
If he wins one of those, I think he could get in as an at large. Is what I
Yep.
was thinking.
So
Yep. Even with what happened earlier.
I
Yep.
guess I
Yeah, we
guess
went over that
since
too.
I guess I'm the SEC guy here. We don't. I guess we have everyone covered except for the Big 12. So we need a Big 12 rep. So if
I'll
that's
rep them.
Mitch, if that's Arizona, if that's well, Boyd's in the Discord now, so he could potentially Tyler Boyd could be on. He could be our liaison to the Big 12. But we'll see. But the SEC is a freaking garbage dump right now, man. Like we don't know what's going on. Alabama, I'd say, is the top dog in the conference, even though they're 2-0. They're 2-0 in the conference, 6-0 overall. Rick Saban's got the Tide moving this season. Only
Yeah,
98
guys.
points allowed this season. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Almost 300
Wow.
points. So I know one of them he had 70 against West Virginia, but you know the Tide's rolling
Well,
this season.
Ian would be
Definitely.
the one to ask about Alabama. He's the one that played them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah,
That was a super tough game. Dude, his play, like he has so much speed on the defense. It's
yep.
just very tough to get loose and get free, especially on like passes or running for that
Yeah.
matter. His defense is quick and strong.
A team, we like to rip on them, but Ricky played them and beat them earlier in the year. But Missouri's 3-0 in the SEC. I mean, I play him later in the year, but he's definitely a player that's improved greatly since the start. The Jeremy
Is
with
it like also three users he's beaten too in the
yeah,
SEC?
he beat he's 3-0, so he beat LSU. I feel like he played. Well, actually, I don't know. I think he might have played Florida or Georgia. I can't remember one of them.
Or maybe even both. I feel like he's
Yeah.
either 2-0 or 3-0 against SEC users.
Yeah. So
Regard-
yeah, so he's been on a roll this season. Texas is always hard. I mean, Glenn, he always plays tough. I mean, he's got a solid defense, and his offense is really hard to stop with all that speed. I mean, he lost Bond, but it didn't really matter for him. I mean, he's still a good player. Always a tough out, no matter what.
yeah,
Barfield,
he loves this.
Barfield's the same way. He's always a tough out. But I feel like this year it's going to be between Texas, Alabama, Missouri, and myself. for the SEC. I don't know too much about Oklahoma's play style and stuff this year, so I don't really follow them too much. But I think it's a four-man race in the SEC.
Oklahoma was actually probably my toughest user matchup thus far.
Right. Well,
He's a good
He
player.
likes
He's a
he
very
runs the
good
ball
player.
very, very, very well.
okay.
Um, Good defensively. He actually forced the most picks I've had in user games this year.
I can't
Very
put Texas
opportunistic.
A&M in because he lost to a computer.
He's got to get that respect back.
Yeah, I mean, I own almost losing to Vandy is different than losing to Tennessee, in my opinion. But no, I know that Tennessee game is hard. They gave me a trouble there to start, so it's the sliders have definitely been a big big not issue, but it's been something big in this game that's caused a lot of people to struggle that maybe weren't struggling, like me. Because
Yeah,
like
I think it's thrown a little wrench into the
and
dynasty a little
but
bit.
I
I
like
think
it.
it was yeah, I think it was a decent move. Like I don't know. We talked about it the commissioners and we were like, Heisman might be a little bit too drastic of a
Right.
move. So we figured the sliders would help a little bit to, just increase the difficulty a little.
Right. No,
It makes
I'm
you at
all
least
for
have
it.
to feel like you have to lock in every
Yeah.
week
Right.
instead of
Right.
just, yeah, it's a computer game. I can just fuck
Right.
around.
Like I had to lock in
Exactly.
against Tennessee and Auburn. Like I was locked in like for the first half until I could put up like 14 points on them. Like I was like
Yep.
screaming at my TV like stop them like like I needed to get off the field to get them off the field because I know Tennessee especially they got some speed there and their wide receivers have some crazy takeoff abilities and they just they go on you if you're not ready for them. So that's a tough computer, if not the toughest computer in the dynasty.
Yeah, and I just love
Definitely.
that you guys actually didn't go with the dynasty or the Heisman difficulty because I want it to be a challenge, but I also, at the end of the day, want these playoff matchups to be users versus users.
Yep.
And I feel
Right.
like you have a opportunity for that not to happen
I agree
if
completely.
you
That's
just
what
up that difficulty.
that was a main point for us too. We don't, like you said, we don't want too many. And obviously, there's always going to be at least one computer because they put
Yep.
the highest
The
ranked Big
G5.
Five school in. Yep. So that is what it is.
So there's one more conference we didn't talk about because they're not here, but the Big 12 and their ranks. Number one, I gotta go Zona. Just because I feel like they're the top dog in that Big 12 now, especially that this guy who shall not be named is not here anymore.
Right.
I would go Zona, Kansas for 1-2, and then after
Yep.
that, I have no idea because there's only five users. So
Yep.
Well, I
So
mean,
it does kind of seem like a two-man race, but I don't know. I would have to see the schedules too. Like I don't know. Has Utah played Arizona? They did, didn't they? No.
yeah,
it's
they
a
got
45
thumped.
nothing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they got
Okay.
thumped.
Yeah. So it is maybe like I guess it is pretty much a two-man race for the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, because he got thumped by Zona and Kansas, but
Yep.
somehow
But
pulled off
but
this big
BTCU.
win. Yeah,
Yeah.
and beat TCU. Yep, and USC.
Yep.
And he's tough. He beat me, but
Yeah,
you know
that's
Ricky played him well. But USC is not easy. None of these guys are like easy wins. Like seriously, like
But
right.
Frank, go back to the rest of his users. So honestly, if he beats West Virginia, he'd be looking at 10-2 and in a potential at-large bid
yeah.
for the
Yep.
playoffs.
Does Kansas Arizona play?
If nothing else, they will in the championship.
Hey, I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yep.
hop off for a second.
So he's got no. So Arizona only has West Virginia left, and that's it. Wow. So they're probably going to go undefeated in the Big 12 if I had to guess. I mean, I don't think
Well, they almost lost to Cincinnati, the computer, though.
that's
I'm pretty sure. I
oh
think it was. I mean, I don't watch. I didn't. I don't think
no, it was
broadcasted,
Iowa
but
State,
ah,
and I did watch
but
that.
like I thought I saw it was like OT.
It was yeah. Iowa State I think threw a touchdown pass to tie it in overtime. It was like 4th and 19, and their quarterback
Wow.
threw an absolute dart across the middle of the field for a touchdown. And then I believe Iowa State came back on offense for the second round or second, overtime, and they threw a pick, and then it just allowed Zona to kick it. But yeah, that was awesome. That was fun to watch. It's fun to watch people sweat against computers.
Yeah, but I mean, at worst though, this is a playoff team, just a
Correct.
matter of seeding.
Yep, this is a
So,
playoff team.
I think it's a 2-man race. Obviously, it was a 3-man before.
So here,
But I mean, don't sleep on Kansas though. I mean,
No.
that is a team that knows how to generate sack and
Yep.
pressures,
So here,
and obviously one of the better offensive teams in the league as well. I mean,
mhm.
probably like at worst one of the top 5.
So but yeah.
I think they're being underestimated in terms of their overall
So
contendership.
let's save the matchups and all that for our next podcast tomorrow. Let's just talk about let's go into recruiting here for a little bit and see what everyone's up to. Ricky, how it looks like Nebraska. Wow, Nebraska with a big jump, number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, I got 2 5-stars this week.
Wow.
Wow. You're really turning that program around, dude.
I think I've been like top 10 in every single recruiting class. But now I'm looking at the future out of the post Raiola.
Yeah, I mean,
era.
5-star QB.
I got that 5-star QB, but no, I finally first year. I feel like a lot of defensive players were unfortunately like 80 speed, and you
tell
just
me
can't
about it.
compete with that. You just can't compete with that.
Ole Miss first season was rough. Rough.
But no, I mean, I think I've recruited like skill positions heavy first 2 years, and then this year I'm going more for the defensive secondary players. Now that I have all those concepts down, or I'm a little bit more competitive defensively, because I have the offense down. That's not the issue.
Now, defense is the hardest part of this game, so it takes a while to figure stuff out. I mean, I'm bad at it. I mean, it's not easy to be good at defense in this game. I mean, there's so many different audibles and formations that you could switch into that I don't even mess with, to be honest.
It's more so the adjustments you make, like in terms of
like your user
giving
adjustment,
cushion, pressing, all that.
Yep. So here we'll just go conference here real quick. So it looks like Clemson, no shocker here, number 1 recruiting class again. He just has that great pipeline for all these talent. I mean, I'm competing with him all the time for guys. I mean,
I have a 0% success rate, I believe, against him, like on guys that he's actually pursuing. I don't think I've gotten one.
He got one from me, and I think I took one from him this season. But so we're even. Virginia Tech with a solid class. I mean, it looks like he's going heavy on the defense there and getting a quarterback of the future. And Fog, 2 G's, Foggaga. So
that 4-star receiver's good. He beat me out for him.
Okay.
He's from the Midwest.
Okay. So then here, let's talk about you. So you got no 5-stars, but you loaded up with the 4-star talent.
Yeah, we're doing pretty decent. Like the first 2 years of the dynasty, I took recruiting kind of too lightly, and I also didn't quite know what I was doing.
Right.
But I'm starting to figure it out to where I don't know how many seasons this will go. This dynasty, I don't know if it'll go 4 or 5, whatever. But you gotta just keep recruiting because you don't know. So some of these guys might, you might get a freshman that is a factor next year. You just don't know. You got to keep recruiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Ricky's the reason why I know what I'm doing. I was the same thing as you. I was just throwing points randomly at guys, not really knowing what I was doing, like wasting points. Ricky taught me a whole bunch of stuff, and Ricky is the recruiting assistant at Ole Miss. But we'll keep that.
The advisor.
Advisor. There was a time when Ricky had to do some recruiting for me, but we didn't break any rules. It was fair.
That's understandable. Recruiting. It's like Nick had said before, and if you want to talk recruiting when you have him on, he would be delighted. I'm sure.
Well, hopefully tomorrow we can get him on. I mean, that's what he says. He's free tomorrow, so hopefully
Yeah,
we can get him and
I
we
just
can
Yeah,
talk
I'd be
some
down
I
for
hope
Fiascos.
he
that.
can get in
We
on
can
the
both teach you, Frank.
Discord thing.
Well, we'll get to me in a second. But it looks like Oregon is also competing there with the best class in the Big Ten. I know USC's hanging. Iowa started out strong with the 2 instant 5 stars and really nothing since. So
I think
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I believe he just had a baby, didn't he?
oh,
Or is that in my head? I thought
I
Dan just recently had a baby. I could be wrong. I thought somebody did, and I think it was him.
well, baby or not, you got to stay recruiting because
That's true.
I feel like that's how his classes are, though.
right.
I think you got like 10 players or so last year too.
Interesting.
Because I know because I'm always having to compete with
Yeah,
Iowa
he's
for
probably,
the Midwest prospects.
So let's keep it.
I think he's one of the ones that tackle like the portal more than
Oh wait, what's
actual
this? Ole Miss is on
recruiting.
top of the
Portal's-
SEC
oh,
again?
wow.
Oh wait, this
Oh,
never
wow.
happens. This never happens.
You
I
have the number 3 overall class?
I have 5 5-star recruits coming next season, and I have never had one so far. So this is an incredible turnaround for the Rebels next season.
Wow,
I'm
impressive.
very excited for that running back coming in and that middle wide receiver coming in next season. I am just so excited for what this team has next season. And
Awesome.
Texas too. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
he's always in on players that I'm going for too. I was in on that Bloom fair for a little bit, and then he blew my doors off on that. So, Texas is always tough. He's in that pipeline too. Florida gets they're in a great spot. They're in that Florida pipeline. They get they get into Mississippi. They get up to the Tennessees and the Georgias. Florida has a great recruiting spot in my opinion.
It is a good spot.
Yeah.
For somehow, I don't know if Nick has I don't know how he does it, but he comes into Florida and he kicks my ass every time when it comes to recruiting. So
I don't know.
is
He
what it
just
is.
We'll have to look at his pipeline.
we'll have to talk about
Yeah,
we'll have to maybe try to get him to share some information.
yeah. I'll see if he can divulge some information.
Well, Ricky, since you missed, a good part of this, we're kind of wrapping up my list here that we wrote down at lunch today. Is there anything on your mind that you want to say or talk about with your team or anything? Your last thoughts? You got any last thoughts?
I guess it was just with my team. I mean, I just get through these computer matchups. I have Ohio State this week. It'll be a tougher matchup just due to their speed they have on the outside. And Tennessee wrecked my corners when I had to play them. There was like 400 plus yards that quarterback threw on me.
Right.
So I have to watch out for that one. But I'm just having to gear up for this Oregon game because I have to have one of these two against Iowa or Oregon.
Where's that game at? It's at Oregon.
At Oregon.
At Oregon, but
home at versus Iowa to finish.
Yep.
I'll say this too. I think I did before. Playing on the road, man, it's definitely a disadvantage. Like there's so many things that it really throws a wrench in your plan. Like if you like doing a lot of hot routes and stuff, that makes that like way more difficult. The field goal kicking's harder. Like it is. There's a distinct advantage to being at home.
Yep.
Fortunately, I'm not I don't do many hot routes. I literally just have.
That's good.
Probably 30 good passing plays I like.
Fortunately,
and I just know them by heart. I think it's what helps me.
Yeah, you have your system down pat, Ricky. It's actually impressive to watch. I'm not lying.
It's just matters going through those first 2 reads and then
right. Yeah, it's when you hold on to that ball, that's when bad
and
things
just
happen.
having that discipline to not throw it over the middle.
And
late.
That's something I struggled with early in the year, and I'm trying to get better with in my CPU matchups. I was, just getting my quick read and get it off quick. I got the double Jeremita Bowl coming up. I mean, Ian, who made these schedules? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I shouldn't have to go.
Let me say this.
I shouldn't have to go Jeremita.
Conference play is untouchable for us.
Yeah.
We have nothing to do with conference play. We won't take take ownership of that.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Luckily for me though, I closed out 4 out of my last 5 games are at home. My only away games at Missouri. So luckily I don't have to go to College Station, which is the number 1 in stadium atmosphere, I think. So that's
Yeah.
always good that I
Yes.
don't have to go there this season for that. So, but yeah, I got 3 hard user games in a row, and then I finish up with a very hard Georgia State and a hard Mississippi State team. But
Tier 1
Wow,
Georgia State.
Tier 1 Georgia State. But yeah, so that's
Yep.
pretty
wow, you're
much.
really trying to get the committee
I'm
to
trying.
bump your strength of schedule.
I'm trying. So Ian, you got anything about the Seminoles? Any last thoughts? Anything to look forward to?
Um,
Anything you're excited about?
I I'm excited about the win over Notre Dame. It was in my head like I really needed to get that. I already have one loss. If I lose the Notre Dame game, that puts me like basically out of at large contention, and then I'd have to win the ACC to
Yeah,
get in. So I'm looking at down the road here.
your schedule
I
is
have,
insane.
yeah, I had a shit ton of users,
I
but
mean, wow. And it's impressive. You're 6-1
I
with all these user games. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
yeah, I had seven. I think I had 7 users, but I don't know how that happened. Honest to God, dude, we were just when we made the schedules, we were trying to. There was literally nothing at all personal about the schedules. We were
Oh yeah.
trying to make sure everyone had the minimum, and I don't think people understand that. Like when you're trying to make sure everybody's got their minimum 4 user games or 5. I can't remember what we did, but and then nobody's going over a certain amount. Then I ended up having more, and it's just like it is what it is. It's like
Yeah.
you just
I
play with
and
the
personally,
hand you're dealt.
you'd rather play human games than computer. I mean, I would.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I would too. I hate, I feel like, especially before, if you're going into the playoff before, um, and you have like 2 computer games before the playoff, I hate that. And
right.
I think you have
That's
that
what
on
I
your
got.
schedule, but
I've had
I
that
don't,
all 3 years that I've been in this league.
I just feel like it dulls your senses. Like before
It
you get
does.
into a real game, I hate it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but hey, it is what it is. You just got to be locked in when it's your time to play.
Yep,
So,
Yeah, I mean, you already touched on
exactly.
it earlier. Like the fact you guys don't have control of the conference play, and that not every single conference has the same amount of users, it just makes it tough to match up.
Yeah,
And
it
then you're
does.
basically playing catch up, and then a lot more factors, unfortunately, out of your control. And
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
But,
Honest, and I do distinctly remember when we made the schedule, the last matchup that we needed, I think McMahon needed a game and Aaron needed a game. They were the only 2 that needed it, and
well,
that's how we came to the conclusion that they were going to play, and this was the
let
only open week that they both had, and that's why we scheduled it. And now it doesn't even matter
yeah,
because
so
neither of them
let's
are
get into
playing.
that real quick. This was probably going to be like the marquee matchup of the dynasty season probably. Prime's attitude versus the strength of McMahon's run game. I mean, those are 2 titans going at it. So,
Yeah, that could have been fun. That could have been fun.
I mean,
I mean, McMahon would have needed that game.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Aaron, he just knows how to run that middle of the field with that linebacker. I mean, I know he's not in the league and all that, but he did play tough, and he was always a
Oh,
great
he's good. Yeah,
competitor in the game
he's
and all
absolutely
that.
good.
So
Dude, he beat the doors off me last season
beat
we
the
played.
crap out of me this year. So it's all
Yeah, he's a
it's
good
all good.
player. It's
Great
just a
player.
shame.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is what it is.
is what it is, and we'll move on. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that'll wrap it up for the week 5. Or well, there's 5th edition of the Sheets Boys and Ian. This is our featured guest of the podcast, so we'd like to thank the commish for coming in for today's ep. So Ian,
Yeah, thanks for
thanks
1000%.
for
having me
coming
on,
in. And
Sheets Bros.
yeah, and anytime you want in, just let us know. And we like to have that insight, that the commissioners have, that Ricky and I just, we take guesses based off what we see. So it was nice having you in to talk a little bit more in depthly about, the whole Colorado situation, the Oklahoma thing in Texas. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
cool to
definitely.
have that, especially. So thank you, Ian, for everything you do for the league, and you just know that Ricky and I appreciate what you, Nick, and McMahon do. So it's
Yeah,
all
same
fun,
to
and we're
you guys,
happy to be a
man.
part of it.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you guys. You guys are killing it with this. It's fun to listen to and fun to be on. So
Yeah.
thanks for
So
having me.
yes, sir. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back to you soon.